So let's continue to look at the gaseous exchange in humans. So we have the terms over here, partial pressure of oxygen and also carbon dioxide. So gas diffusion depends on the difference in the partial pressure between the two areas. So the gas will diffuse from an area where the partial pressure is higher to an area where its partial pressure is lower. Okay, so that means it is down the concentration gradient or it is down the partial pressure gradient of the two regions lah. Okay, so next this is a schematic sketch. So if question asks you to describe gaseous exchange in the alveoli and in the body cells, maybe you can sketch it in this way. Alright, so this is in the alveoli. Okay, alveoli and the surrounding blood capillaries, and also these are the body cells and also the surrounding tissue capillaries. So what is actually partial pressure? Okay, so when we talk about respiratory gases, we are referring to oxygen and carbon dioxide. So partial pressure is the pressure contributed by a gas. So the normal partial pressure of oxygen, this is how you write a big P and then the small oxygen down here, okay, is 160 millimeter mercury. So how do you get this value? Right, it is through this formula. Because at the sea level, 1 atmosphere, it is equivalent to 760 millimeter mercury. So we know that in the air, oxygen is about 21%, right? So this is how you convert it into partial pressure. So meaning, the higher the percentage, the pressure contributed by the gas will be higher. The partial pressure of the gas is higher. Okay, so this is, maybe you can read on this later on, okay, in the PowerPoint slides. Right, so gaseous exchange and the transport of respiratory gases. So let's look at gaseous exchange over here. This is the one that is between the alveolus and also the surrounding blood capillaries. So you call it here the lung capillaries. This is referring to the blood capillaries. Erythrocytes is the other name for the red blood cells. So in the lungs, the blood that enters the lung contains higher partial pressure of carbon dioxide compared to the one in alveolus. Okay, look at this first. It says blood that enters the lung. Okay, so this is the heart, this is the lung. So blood that enters the lungs through the pulmonary artery, this is the pulmonary artery, has a low partial pressure of oxygen, high partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Okay, because they are the deoxygenated blood. Okay, you still remember that? So that's why denoted in blue. Okay, meanwhile, the blood that leaves the lung, here is it, from the pulmonary vein, this is the pulmonary vein, bring it back to the heart first, okay, and then it will be pumped out of the heart to be circulated throughout the body. So this blood has a high partial pressure of oxygen, okay, a low partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Okay, this is denoted in red, so that means they are the oxygenated blood. Okay, come back to here. It says higher partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So meaning you are comparing two regions. You have the tissue capillaries and you have the alveolus. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide over here, this region is high. So this will cause the carbon dioxide to diffuse out of the lung capillaries into the alveolus, and then subsequently it will be expelled through the nose and the mouth as we breathe out or as we exhale. And the partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolus is higher than the lung capillaries. Okay, so this one, the red color is denoting oxygen. So from here we breathe in fresh air, isn't it? Inhalation. This has got fresh oxygen, so therefore partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolus is higher than the one in the lung capillaries. So this will cause the oxygen to diffuse into the lung capillaries. And oxygen will combine with these erythrocytes. Okay, well, it will combine, it will combine with the hemoglobin which is in the erythrocytes. So forming oxyhemoglobin. Okay, you still remember this term? You have learned this back in Form 3. So it is a complex structure over here, complex compound. Okay, so next. Right, so now at the blood, okay, that has been converted to oxygenated from deoxygenated. Okay, next, their journey is that they will be going to the heart and then to the other body cells, to the rest of the body cells. So here, upon reaching the cells, okay, you get to see here again these two regions. We have the body cells versus the tissue capillaries. Okay, we're talking about the blood capillaries that is surrounding the body cells, the network of blood capillaries just now. Okay, so you have learned about cellular respiration, and do you still remember that it releases carbon dioxide? Okay, that means carbon dioxide is the product, one of the product of cellular respiration. So this explains why the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the cells are greater than the one in the tissue capillaries. So again, what happens is that carbon dioxide will diffuse out of the body cells into the tissue capillaries, and then it will be transported back to the lungs. Later on, we are going to look at how is this carbon dioxide being transported. All right, there are three ways of transportation. Okay, so now when the blood reaches the tissue through the tissue capillaries, now we talk about partial pressure of oxygen. If you compare, which region will have a higher partial pressure of oxygen? Is it the tissue capillary or the blood or the body cells? Okay, again, remember cellular respiration. What is the substrate of cellular respiration? Yes, it is glucose. And glucose will react or will be oxidized, isn't it? So oxidation meaning oxygen will be used. So since oxygen is used, therefore the body cells will have a lower partial pressure of oxygen compared to the tissue capillary. This will cause the oxygen to diffuse out of the tissue capillary into the body cells. So the oxyhemoglobin, just now it is being carried, it will bind with the hemoglobin, oxygen bind with the hemoglobin, forming oxyhemoglobin, right? So now oxygen has to enter the body cells, so it will be released from the oxyhemoglobin. Okay, that breaks down, forming once again free hemoglobin and oxygen. Okay, there's a video here. Please watch the video. Okay, we stopped here.